Hello, my name is Leah. I have spent the last 6 months tracking all of my writing stats, and today I'm here to share that data with you. 6 months ago, Kate Kavanaugh posted a video where she shared her update on her progress with Millwordy, which this is a challenge to write 1 million words in the year, but as she talked about in the video, her mindset going into that was more to be able to track her writing and better understand her own writing habits. And that really resonated with me. That was something that I had been trying to do and wanted to do as well. And so when she shared the template to the tracker that she uses in Google Sheets, boy, I was all about it. I clicked that download link so fast. This was like exactly the writing tracker that I was looking for. So in April of 2021, I started using Kate's template to track my own writing. I've recorded every single day of novel writing since then in order to get a better understanding of my own writing habits and like how long it takes me to do those different phases of writing, like the drafting, the revising, the brainstorming, all of that sort of stuff. Here's what the numbers have to say. First, I wanted to go over how I modified her template in order to kind of better suit what I wanted to use it for. So each page is its own month's worth of data and stats, which is interesting to see, but because I'm the kind of person who only works on one project at a time, it ends up not being used to its fullest potential. For example, in April, it was Camp NaNoWriMo. My focus was on revising Project Shadows, and so that's what I've logged on every single day, is I worked on Project Shadows and I was revising. There's a tiny sliver of data for brainstorming, but it also was for Project Shadows because I kind of had to like take a step back, figure some stuff out, and then jump back in. But other than that, like everything was the same. So 3 of the 4 graphs that she has on there were kind of useless in the month-to-month view for me. To fix that, what I did was add another tab that calculates my totals. So that is the tab that we're going to be looking at today. All of the stats across the entire 6-month period. There may have been an easier way to do this, but I basically just duplicated April and then like changed the parameters for how far down the function like calculates the data. And then every month I copy and paste all the info minus the day of the week because that is kind of like its own function that reads the date line. I feel like that sounded complicated. Just don't copy over the day of the week. I copied over all the data from the month and then added it to the full 6-month calculator spread. But let us jump into the data. My computer is right down here, so if you see me looking this direction, that's what I'm referencing. Cool. So first we have the bar graph, which shows how many total words I've put into each project. This includes literally everything: brainstorming, outlining, drafting, revising, rereading, everything. Hello, this is Editing Leah. I just wanted to pop in to say that whenever I was talking about this, I was being a dummy and I hadn't actually added September to the 6-month thing. So there's a couple things that I say that are actually incorrect. For example, I'm about to say that I have the most words in Project Fire when that is not the case because I worked on Project Shadows a lot in September. I just didn't realize that I was being stupid. The graphs that I show do include September though, so when in doubt, look at the graph. It doesn't really affect much of what I said. This is the one where it just makes me very much wrong. Clearly, the one that I have put the most words into is Project Fire, which makes sense because I have done a lot of prep work and gotten halfway through a 0 draft of that project. The total word count for the 0 draft right now is 39,166 words. So you can see how much of that number on the bar graph is pulled from the actual 0 draft and how much is pulled from all the extra words and work that I have put into like preparing to draft. The second largest project is Project Shadows. When I started tracking this, I was near the end of my revision. So although I've spent a lot of 2021 as a whole working on Project Shadows, the April cutoff kind of caught the tail end of what I was doing with that. But I did work on Project Shadows mostly from April to May, and then I switched over fully to Project Fire, and now I'm back to working on Project Shadows mainly. Most of the words in this bar graph are revised words. There aren't a ton of like brainstorming and planning words in that because that was all done pre-revision and pre-April. And then lastly, we have this little bar which I labeled as Ghost, standing for ghostwriting. Overall, I didn't include any of my freelance work on this writing tracker, mainly because I think that that would need certain different metrics to track, and also it wasn't like my own writing. But there was one project that I worked on where I did ghostwrite part of it. It wasn't fully ghostwriting from scratch. It was basically they wanted me to rewrite what they had. So I went ahead and counted that on my tracker because I was writing myself. I don't know. I went ahead and counted it because I thought that it fit with what I was trying to do here. And it's so small because it was a children's book, so it wasn't like we're getting into the 80,000 word range or anything like that. Which brings me to the pie chart. So colorful, so beautiful. So that yellow rewriting slice is pretty much exclusively just that ghostwriting project. I haven't had to do much of what I consider to be rewriting with my own work. I'm unsure if this is a category that I will keep moving forward because to me rewriting is kind of just revising, I guess. Like if there's something in a book that's not working and I'm like trying to fix it, I just consider that revising. I don't really consider it rewriting. Although I guess some people could say that my end of Project Shadows, my Act 3, is completely different than what I wrote in the zero draft, so I guess it could technically be called rewriting, but I consider that either drafting something new or revising what's there. So in my brain, I don't really have a category for rewriting. But the fact that this slice is so big makes me wonder what my graphs would look like if I did include my freelance work. Like, it would be really interesting to me to see how much, like, of my brain energy that actually takes up that I'm not realizing. It is pretty obvious over the past 6 months what times I was really focusing on freelance work because there's just like chunks of the month that have nothing in it because I wasn't actually working on my own stuff. I was working on an editing project. So that might be something I incorporate in the future, is adding in that freelance element because they do use the same brain energy. The second thing that I find interesting about this pie chart, why did I say graph? I don't know, is the brainstorming section, which I'm a plotter by nature, so I feel like this shouldn't surprise me, but I just find it interesting that the brainstorming is so much bigger than the outlining slice. And I think that the reason for this is because of when I worked through Story Genius for Project Fire. Like, basically none of that had to do with outlining. It was all pre-writing, essentially. It was writing scenes from your character's backstory. It was writing out, like, what you want from the book. What's the purpose? What's the misbelief of the character? All that kind of stuff, which is definitely brainstorming oriented. So I just find it interesting that because of what I was doing this month, my outlining section is so small. Like, I would not have predicted that being such a plotter. Like, I spend so much time plotting. The rest of the graph is pretty much what I expected. I've put about an even amount of work into revising Project Shadows as I have drafting Project Fire, and the word counts that I've put into those have been about even in the past 6 months. The next graph that is very interesting to me is the daily word count total. So this literally just calculates how many words you write on each individual day of the week. So as you can see, I do nothing on the weekends, basically. I have tried to be really intentional about creating that like separation from like work day versus weekend because I do work from home, and the weekends are for chill time and other like household responsibilities. But the weekends, I have shut my writing brain completely off, so much to the point that I have a difficult time actually writing on weekends when I do want to write. My most productive day is Friday with a total of 23,933 words written over the past 6 months, which I find very surprising. I feel like on Fridays I'm always so like anxious for the weekend to happen, but maybe the fact that I am anxious for that like motivates me to do more. And then my least productive day of the week is Wednesdays. This I could have told you ahead of time. I feel like on Wednesdays I'm always so meh feeling about my writing. It really is hump day. I've already been doing this. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you could hear that, but that was like the loudest stomach growl I've ever experienced. Anyways, I feel like I've already been writing and working hard for the first 2 days, but then I also still have 2 days to go before I get to the weekend. And so I just feel like I don't want to do anything on Wednesdays. But something like this is why I find that tracking my writing data in this way has been so helpful, because something I have been interested in, or at least interested in trying out, is by theming my work days a little bit more. Right now, I kind of do a little bit of everything every day. I do a little bit of writing, I do a little bit of YouTube, I do a little bit of client editorial work. It kind of pulls my brain in a lot of separate directions. But something I might be interested in trying is like theming my days more. So like maybe Wednesdays then are my YouTube days, where I like outline videos, I brainstorm ideas, I film, I edit, I upload, all that kind of stuff. And then I don't have to worry about that the rest of the week, and I can just focus on the other things. Because of this, I know not to do the YouTube day on Friday, because apparently that's my best writing day. It was also interesting to compare this weekly breakdown month to month. It wasn't true in every single month that Friday was my most productive and Wednesday was my least productive, but it was true, the trend of the end of the week being my most productive, and then like Tuesday and Wednesday being my least productive. The last graph of this writing template is technically another pie chart about what type of project it is, like if it's novel, novella, blog post, article, essay, all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to discuss that one because the only thing I worked on in the past 6 months have been novels, or at least the only thing that I've actually tracked for my writing. But this is another thing that kind of makes me feel like I want to start including my freelance work, and maybe even including the prep work that I put into my YouTube videos on a tracker like this. I'm pretty sure that is what Kate does, not with freelance, but like with her YouTube stuff. And so this pie chart like actually has a bit more variety into it. I think that might be something interesting to add to all of this moving forward for the next 6 months. In conclusion, thank you Kate Kavanaugh for making this writing tracker template. I will leave her video linked down below where she shared this template, so definitely go check that out if you are interested in watching hers or downloading the template. I have found it so helpful in understanding my own process a little bit better, mainly because I'm like a visual person, and so I like seeing stuff laid out in front of me, and just being able to see that distribution and see where the words were going has given me a better perspective on what sort of writing work that I end up doing. And being able to look at this has helped me set better goals, like I talked about in my Q4 goals video. It's helped me be more realistic with myself and be able to know how much is a challenge and how much is just like, you're never gonna do that because that's simply not the way your brain works. Let me know if there's any other ways that you like to track your writing, or anything that you would do differently with a chart like this. I'm always looking for new ways to sort of like evaluate stuff like that. I hope this has been interesting to see, at least. It was so much fun for me to like be able to sit down and analyze some of this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!